The sun bled over the horizon like a slow leak of fire across the desert sky. From the rooftop of Forward Operating Base Victorio outside Fallujah, Major Cole Stratton stood with one boot braced against a sandbag, arms crossed scanning the ruins beyond the wire. The radio on his hip crackled with scattered chatter reports of insurgent movement to the west, but he barely heard it. 15 years in special forces had forged Cole into something precise, durable, and cold under pressure. He'd been blown off rooftops, stitched up in field hospitals, and buried too many friends to remember. But what unsettled him this morning wasn't combat. It was the call he had to make. Boss Lieutenant Marcus Bell's voice came from behind him. "Satellite links up. Comms tent is yours." Cole nodded, jaw flexing. He descended the stairs two at a time, brushing past a group of soldiers checking gear before patrol. They all stepped aside without needing orders. Stratton's respect was earned the hard way. He never sent men into fire he wouldn't walk through himself. Inside the tent, the screen flickered to life with a low electronic hum. The secure channel connected to a living room 3 continents away. For a moment it was empty, a gray sectional sofa, framed photos on the mantel. A stuffed bear in the corner Cole recognized from his daughter Ella's 3rd birthday. 5 minutes passed, then Lauren appeared. She looked startled to see him. Her blonde hair was pinned back too neatly, and she adjusted her blouse quickly, like she'd forgotten about the call entirely. "I thought this was scheduled for tomorrow," she said. "It is tomorrow," Cole replied evenly. "Your time." A pause. "Right, sorry, things are busy here. The Garrison charity auction is next week. I'm co-chairing with Alexis Thorne." Cole didn't flinch, but inside something turned. Alexis Thorne, wife of Senator Marcus Thorne, Cole's former squad mate. The man had risen fast after leaving the service building, a political career that leaned heavily on his military record and his connections to men like Cole. Thorne had visited the Stratton house many times, always when Cole was stateside, always just a little too friendly with Lauren. He'd bring expensive wines and rare cigars Cole never asked for. The kids loved him, Ella especially, and Bryce, their 14-year-old, practically idolized him. "How are Bryce and Ella?" Cole asked. Lauren looked away from the camera. "They're with the Thorns this weekend. Alexis thought it'd be nice for the kids to spend time with people their age. You know, normal families." Normal families. The phrase landed like a slap masked in silk. "I'll be home in 8 weeks, Cole said, his voice steady. "We've heard that before," Lauren murmured, not quite under her breath. The silence that followed was worse than any firefight he'd faced. "I have to go," she said. "Meeting with the decorators. The foyer needs repainting." "Of course!" The call ended with a hollow beep. Cole sat motionless, staring at the screen long after her image had disappeared. Then slowly he reached into his chest rig and withdrew a small data key. He slid it into the port of his secure tablet and entered a code only he knew. 3 months ago, before deployment, he'd installed an upgraded home security system. Cameras in plain sight, but also other silent observers tucked into vents high corners above the fireplace. Lauren had no idea they could be accessed remotely. Now Cole watched. Footage from the past 3 weeks cycled across the screen. Morning, afternoon, patterns emerged. Thorne arriving at his home 2 to 3 times a week, always after the kids left for school, always gone before they returned. Never staying the night, but always staying long enough. Cole didn't blink. He didn't rage. Didn't punch walls, didn't scream. Instead, he opened a new folder on his encrypted drive, labeled it Homefront Protocol. Then he began downloading. Every clip, every timestamp, every smile that wasn't meant for him. He wasn't just building a case. He was preparing for war. And this time the battlefield wasn't overseas. It was his own front porch. The desert night in Fallujah was deceptively quiet, the kind of stillness that whispered false comfort before detonating into chaos. Major Cole Stratton sat alone in the comms tent, the flickering light of his secure tablet casting sharp shadows across his face. The footage he watched required no sound body language, told him everything. Lauren welcomed Senator Marcus Thorne into their Richmond home like he belonged there. No hesitation, no explanation. Her smile was a version of one she used to reserve for Cole years ago before deployments outnumbered date nights. She touched Thorne's arm as she poured him wine. The way she leaned in, the way he followed her upstairs. Cole paused the video and leaned back. He'd seen enough. This wasn't a mistake. It was a pattern. 3 weeks later, Cole was kneeling behind a crumbling wall on the outskirts of Habbaniyah, scanning a series of mud compounds through the scope of his M4. The mission was clear: extract CIA operative Lori Devlin, captured 2 days earlier by a rogue insurgent cell. It was a high-risk op, the kind usually handled by a full platoon, not a 6-man ghost team. But Cole had volunteered the moment he saw the file. The chaos outside the wire matched the chaos inside him. Out here, he had rules, clarity, targets. The radio clicked, twice Bell's signal. Go. Gunfire erupted as they breached the outer wall. Cole moved like a machine, precise, brutal, unstoppable. He cleared the compound's west wing in under 90 seconds, found Devlin zip-tied to a radiator, bleeding from the head, but alive. They made it out. Barely. Back at base covered in dust and blood, Cole opened his tablet again. The file named Homefront Protocol was now several gigs heavier. Dozens of clips, bank statements, exported texts. One string of messages stood out between Lauren and a real estate agent. She wasn't just cheating, she was preparing to leave. That night, under the canvas roof of the field command tent, his secure line pinged with a message from Murr. No greeting, no apology. Don't expect us when you return. The kids have been enrolled at Pinnacle Academy. We've moved on. Please don't contact us again. Lauren Cole stared at the message for a full minute. He didn't react. He simply replied, understood. Then he opened a separate secure contact app and forwarded the message to Jackson Reed, his personal attorney since his first tour in Afghanistan. No context, no explanation, just the message. 30 seconds later, his satellite phone rang. You serious? Jackson asked. Because once I start this, there's no going back. Cole's voice was flat. Initiate protocol, scorched earth. Jackson exhaled. Copy that, ETA 5 weeks. I'll have everything ready. Custody arrangements, they're part of the mission parameters. Got it. The call ended. Cole zipped up his tablet case and turned off the light. The next day, he was summoned to his CO's tent. Colonel Rebecca Adler, tall and sharp-eyed, sat behind her desk, flipping through reports. You put your name in for the Devlin op, she asked. Yes, ma'am. You know it's classified. Intel retrieval in red zone. Odds were 30-70 at best. I was the right man for it. Adler studied him. You barely made it back. Cole met her gaze. I made it. She nodded slowly. You've got 5 weeks left in country. I suggest you use them to cool off. Decompression, avoid another death run. With respect, Colonel Cole said, standing, some things are worth dying for. Adler didn't stop him as he left. But 5 weeks later, Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland. The transport door lowered, revealing Cole Stratton in full dress uniform. The media was already there, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. He hadn't expected this. At the front of the crowd stood Jackson Reed, holding out a hand with a smile meant more for the cameras than for Cole. Welcome home, Major Jackson said. The country thanks you. The president named you in this morning's address. Cole didn't flinch. That you're doing, I figured it wouldn't hurt. As they moved towards the waiting car, Jackson leaned in. We're ready. The financial trail, the custody motion, and the media pivot, it's all in place. Cole stopped walking. You released the surveillance footage, Jackson nodded. To her attorney and Thorne's wife. I also sent it to a reporter at the Hill anonymous drop. Her team's scrambling. And you need to see this. He handed Cole a tablet. On screen was a financial breakdown. Lauren had been siphoning his deployment pay into a private account for nearly 18 months, including payments to Pinnacle Academy and matching transfers to Marcus Thorne's PAC. She's not just disloyal, Jackson said. She's legally exposed. Cole didn't smile, but his voice was cold steel. Then let's bury them. The courthouse in downtown Richmond stood like a cathedral of old brick and sharp angles. Inside, the family law division buzzed with hushed voices and legal friction. But when Major Cole Stratton stepped through the metal detectors in his dress blues, conversation stopped. He didn't wear the uniform for show. He wore it to signal that this was a mission. And he didn't lose missions. Jackson Reed met him outside the hearing room, files in one hand and a latte in the other. You're right on time, the attorney said. Her side's already inside. They brought a PR rep. Let them spin, Cole replied. I brought the truth. He's about to boom. Inside behind the courtroom, Lauren Stratton sat beside her lawyer in a navy pantsuit, her perfectly rehearsed remorse playing across carefully contoured features. Behind her, Senator Marcus Thorne sat 2 rows back, flanked by 2 aides, arms crossed, eyes scanning the room like he was back on a campaign stage. Bryce and Ella were absent as ordered by the court, for now. The judge, a stern, silver-haired woman named Judge Elena Carlisle, glanced over the docket. She was a former Marine colonel known for treating courtroom theatrics like a court-martial. Let's begin, she said. Ms. Stratton's counsel, you may proceed. It's time. Lauren's attorney was slick and soft-spoken. He painted Cole as emotionally unavailable, traumatized by war, too rigid to understand the modern needs of a household. He spoke of absence and emotional neglect. He used terms like structured withdrawal and secondary trauma risk factors. He even tried to cite Bryce's recent school fight as evidence of a destabilized family dynamic exacerbated by paternal military rigidity. Judge Carlisle didn't blink. Then it was Jackson Reed's turn. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't pace. He just opened a folder and began to speak. Chico. Your Honor, he said, we've submitted to the court not only Major Stratton's combat record and honorable discharge recommendations, but also the footage collected legally from his home security system, footage that shows Ms. Stratton engaging in an extramarital affair with Senator Marcus Thorne, a regular visitor during Major Stratton's final deployment. He paused. No one spoke. In addition, we've submitted financial records that show Mr. Stratton redirecting over $78,000 from the couple's joint account into a private offshore fund without disclosure or consent, and using it to pay tuition for both children at Pinnacle Academy, while also making political donations to Senator Thorne's private PAC. He clicked a remote. On the screen in the courtroom appeared a series of images. Lauren and Thorne on the Stratton's back patio. Thorne exiting the home at 7:03 a.m., just 12 minutes before the kids' school bus arrived. Lauren smiling from the doorway in a silk robe. The room was silent except for the low click of the slideshow. Cole sat still with expression locked in stone. When the slideshow ended, Jackson returned to the bench. We request immediate emergency custody based on clear evidence of parental alienation, fiscal deceit, and exposure of the children to unethical, potentially criminal behavior. We also request the court suspend Ms. Stratton's access to the children until a full psychological evaluation can be completed. Judge Carlisle leaned forward. Ms. Stratton, she said flatly, is any of this contested? Lauren's lawyer stood sweating. We'd like time to review, no, Judge Carlisle said. You've had time. The footage was admissible. The records are clear. She banged her gavel once. Emergency custody is granted to Major Stratton. Full hearing scheduled for 30 days from now. Mr. Stratton is barred from contacting the children except through supervised legal channels. Court is adjourned. Outside, Cole didn't speak. He didn't need to. Lauren caught up to him near the parking garage, tears streaking her makeup. You had no right. I had every right, Cole said calmly. You weaponized my absence. Now I'm home. She looked around, frantic. Thorne's career is destroyed. His wife is suing me. You did this to me. No, Cole said. You did this to yourself. I just made sure everyone else saw it. Her face twisted. The kids will hate you for this. Then I'll show them the truth, he said, walking away. And I'll let them decide. So that night in a private conference room, Bryce and Ella sat across from their father. They were quiet, guarded. Bryce wouldn't meet his eyes. Ella stared at her shoelaces. Cole placed a tablet on the table. What's that? Bryce asked coldly. Proof, Cole said. He pressed play. The video showed Lauren laughing with Thorne, then whispering to Ella before a call, remember, tell Dad you love boarding school. Make it sound fun. It showed Thorne saying the kids are easier to control when he's 7,000 miles away. Ella's eyes filled with tears. Bryce looked like he'd been punched. She lied to us, Ella said softly. Bryce stood suddenly. She used us. Cole didn't say I told you so. He just nodded once. Now you know, he said. And we go forward from there. It started with a phone call. Mr. Stratton, this is Principal Gaines from St. Francis Prep. We've had an incident involving your son. Cole Stratton closed his laptop and stood slowly. Is he okay? No serious injuries, but he's in our holding office. There was a fight, a broken nose. You need to come in. Within the hour, Cole walked into the school's front office. Bryce sat in the corner, arms crossed, a swollen knuckle on his right hand. Across the room sat Senator Marcus Thorne in a tailored suit, already speaking to the attending officer. I'm here on behalf of Mrs. Stratton, Thorne said smoothly. She's understandably distraught. I came to support the boy. Cole's arrival shifted the room's atmosphere instantly. The officer straightened. The receptionist froze mid-keystroke. Cole walked past Thorne without acknowledgement and spoke directly to the staff member. My son is under my legal custody. We'll be leaving now. Thorne cleared his throat. It's important that the family presents a unified message. The press may... Cole turned. Slowly, his voice dropped. This is your final warning, Senator. You're not family, and you're not welcome near mine.
좀
Back at the house, Bryce paced the living room while Cole sat on the edge of the sofa, elbows on knees. What happened? Cole asked. Bryce didn't hesitate. Monroe's kid, you know. Thorne's son said Mom was screwing his dad while you were getting shot at in Iraq. He said the only mission you ever completed was losing your family. So I punched him. Cole sighed. Son, I know. Fighting's not the answer. Bryce looked away, but it shut him up. Cole nodded. Different context, different rules, and there are always consequences. A long silence followed. Then Bryce turned. You're going to send Bay away now too, Cole stood. Never. That's what they tried to do. I'm here to stop that. Later that night, Jackson Reed joined Cole in the study. He laid a packet of legal documents on the table, highlighted in red ink. Lauren's new attorney sent this, Jackson said. Settlement offer. Cole flipped it open. Joint custody. Children residing primarily with Lauren. A new home. Tuition paid from your accounts. She's using the fight at school to argue you're creating instability, Jackson said. Thorne's influence is all over this. Cole didn't speak for a moment. Then, they're getting desperate. They're also getting smarter, Jackson replied. Thorne's got backers. And he's worried. He's not just protecting Lauren anymore, he's protecting himself. Cole tapped the file. Then we need to hit back harder. The next morning, Cole drove to the Pentagon. Colonel Rebecca Adler waited in her office, coffee in one hand, tablet in the other. She raised an eyebrow when he entered. You're not due for a debrief until next quarter, she said. Let me guess this is about Thorne. Cole nodded. I need access. Temporary. Quiet. Just enough to finish what I started. You're asking for a favor that walks the line of legality. I'm asking for clarity, he said, and the ability to protect my kids. She considered. You get 24 hours. Use it carefully. That night, Cole and Marcus Bell, his investigator, sat in the Stratton war room, reconfigured from a home office into a digital battlefield. Bell tapped his screen. You were right. Thorne's been laundering connections through front companies tied to Bastion Tech, a defense contractor. He slipped intel from classified briefings while still active duty. Cole narrowed his eyes. He's not scared of me. He's scared of exposure. Bell nodded. There's more. His wife Alexis has been quietly speaking to federal investigators. You're not the only one he betrayed. Cole stood. Then she becomes the final lever. The day of the custody hearing arrived. The courtroom buzzed with reporters, but the energy shifted the moment two federal agents entered and walked straight toward Marcus Thorne. They didn't say a word. They didn't have to. The sight of a senator being cuffed mid-trial sucked the air from the room. Judge Carlisle called for recess immediately. Lauren looked at Cole across the aisle, stunned. What did you do? She mouthed. Cole didn't respond. When the hearing resumed, Lauren's new attorney looked pale. Your Honor, he stammered in light of recent developments, we're withdrawing our petition for joint custody and will be accepting Major Stratton's terms as proposed. Judge Carlisle nodded. Motion accepted. Custody remains solely with the father. Ms. Stratton is granted supervised visitation per prior agreement. The gavel came down. Victory. But Cole didn't celebrate. That evening, Cole stood on his deck as the wind stirred the trees. Bryce and Ella were inside watching a movie. For the first time in months, they sounded like kids again. Bell stepped out with a tablet. Thorne's being arraigned tomorrow, he said. Federal court. 8 years minimum. Alexis froze their joint accounts. His wife gets nothing. Good, Cole said. Bell raised an eyebrow. Thought you were done. Cole looked toward the darkening sky. I never stop, he said quietly. I just changed tactics. The world hadn't yet woken up when Lauren Stratton realized it was already burning around her. She stood barefoot in the kitchen of a friend's townhome, her temporary hideout, after the custody ruling. Her phone buzzed with alerts. She scrolled through the headlines, each one worse than the last. Senator Marcus Thorne indicted on multiple counts of intelligence leaks, exclusive Thorne's affair, and political collapse, the Stratton connection. Lauren Stratton named an IRS probe related to undeclared PAC donations. Her hand trembled as she dropped the phone on the counter. The walls were closing in. But across town in his restored farmhouse on the edge of Richmond, Cole Stratton reviewed the morning media rollout from the privacy of his study. Jackson Reed stood beside him, sipping black coffee, a slight grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. She's getting slammed on every network, he said. And your name untouched. Hero of Fallujah, sole custodian, decorated patriot. Every outlet's running your image with an American flag in the background. I didn't ask for that, Cole said without looking up. No, Jackson said. You earned it. That's different. Cole closed the file. Is Bell ready, standing by? Just waiting for the next command. At exactly 800 a.m., Marcus Bell parked across from Pinnacle Academy, where administrators were now reviewing their own internal scandal. Large tuition donations made under shell accounts linked to Thorne's PACs arranged through Lauren Stratton. Bell handed them a copy of a whistleblower tip prepared and routed anonymously. By noon, the school released a public statement severing ties with both Lauren and the PAC donations. They offered a quiet apology to Cole on letterhead. He declined it, but he filed it away. So meanwhile, Lauren's accounts froze. Her private cards were declined. The townhouse rent bounced. She called her lawyer in a panic. They can't do this, can they? Her lawyer didn't answer right away. I warned you. You weren't just fighting your husband. You were fighting someone trained to dismantle threats before they reached the perimeter. She hung up. Then she called Cole. Isham. He answered on the third ring. You ruined everything, she snapped. No, Cole replied calmly. You did that. I just removed the illusions. I'm broke. Homeless. The media calls me a manipulator, a fraud, a mistress to a traitor. And the kids, Cole interrupted. You didn't mention them once. She fell silent. I asked for two things, Cole continued. Sole custody and distance. You gave me betrayal and a reason to escalate. I kept my word. You didn't. I want to renegotiate. Cole didn't hesitate. No, you can't punish me forever. This isn't punishment, Lauren, he said. It's containment. He hung up. That night, Cole sat outside on the porch, the wind soft against the trees. Bryce came out with 2 mugs of cocoa. I'm not a kid, Bryce said, sitting beside him. You don't need to sugarcoat stuff. Cole accepted the mug. I know. You didn't have to go this far, Bryce said, not accusatory but curious. Cole looked over at his son. I did. Bryce nodded, eyes fixed on the dark field. I think Mom wanted to feel powerful, like you. She chose power over family, Cole said. That makes her weak. Bryce let that sink in. And Thorne, some men wear the flag for what it gives them, not what they owe it. They drank in silence. The next day, Cole met with a tech contractor and delivered a sealed flash drive. Inside firewall systems, IP traps, and monitoring protocols designed to detect any future interference from Lauren or Thorne's network. Bell called it paranoia. Cole called it standard security. You really think she'll come back after everything, Bell asked? She might not. Cole replied. But someone like her always knows someone like Thorne, and someone like Thorne always knows someone dirtier. He paused. This isn't over. Not for them, and not for me. That afternoon, Lauren's image popped up on social media, grainy footage of her being asked to leave a cafe after a confrontation with a customer who recognized her face from the news. Bell texted a screenshot. Your reputation strategy is working better than expected. Cole didn't respond. Instead, he sent one message to Jackson, initiate secondary deterrence. Quietly. The reply came seconds later. Already in motion. By evening, Lauren received an anonymous tip from a concerned friend about the IRS and their interest in a Cayman Islands account registered in her maiden name. She hadn't touched it in years, but now it might be the one loose thread that unraveled the rest. She poured herself a glass of wine and stared out the window. Cole Stratton had destroyed her without ever raising his voice. The morning of the custody confirmation hearing broke gray and bitter in Richmond, the sky swollen with storm clouds that mirrored the courtroom tension. Cole Stratton arrived early. He didn't wear his dress blues this time, just a charcoal suit, black tie, and the bearing of a man who'd walked through fire and remembered how it felt. Beside him, Jackson Reed carried 2 briefcases, one for the court, the other for leverage. The press had backed off since Thorne's arrest, but a few tabloid photographers still lingered at the courthouse gates looking for a glimpse of the woman at the center of the scandal. Lauren Stratton. She arrived 15 minutes late, trailed by her new attorney and visibly shaken. The silk blouse was replaced by a muted dress. No makeup, no designer handbag. Just the weight of exposure and consequence. Inside, Judge Elena Carlisle took her seat. All rise. Cole didn't move until the gavel hit. Lauren's attorney stood first. Your Honor, he began, voice tight with nerves. Given the shifting landscape of this case and recent developments, including Senator Thorne's federal charges, we'd like to request a delay in finalizing custody until further review can be conducted. Judge Carlisle stared at him like a hawk assessing prey. The last delay was granted because of evidence your client failed to disclose. The court will not indulge her pattern of concealment. Lauren's mouth opened, then closed. Her attorney shifted. We asked for limited unsupervised visitation rights and the ability to renegotiate residence terms over the next 12 months. Jackson Reed rose calmly. We oppose, Messiah. Stratton has repeatedly proven she cannot be trusted with unsupervised access to the children. Beyond the affair and asset concealment, she involved the children in her manipulation, attempted to defame their father, and leveraged the schoolyard incident to regain financial control. He clicked a remote. A new series of exhibits appeared on the monitor. Photos of Lauren meeting with Thorne post-arrest, audio clips of her discussing ways to frame instability in Cole's household. A screenshot of a message. Maybe we leak something to the press. He's a soldier, they'll believe PTSD. Judge Carlisle's eyes narrowed. Do you have anything to add, Ms. Stratton? She asked. Lauren stood slowly. He's destroying my life, she said, voice cracking. I made mistakes, but I'm still their mother. Cole remained silent. Judge Carlisle leaned back. You're not being punished, Ms. Stratton. You're being held accountable. This is not a military tribunal, but if it were, your actions would fall under willful compromise of morale and safety. She looked down at the docket. Custody remains with Major Stratton. All visitation shall be supervised at a court-approved center. Any attempt at circumvention will result in full termination of parental access. Case closed. The gavel hit with finality. Outside the courthouse, Lauren caught up to Cole in the parking lot. You think this makes you better than me? She said, voice rising. You think you've won? Cole turned his face calm, unreadable. No, he said. This isn't winning. This is survival. And I do it better than you. Thorne's going to fight this. Thorne's done, Cole said. His wife filed for divorce. The feds froze his accounts. His legacy is dust. Lauren stepped closer. You were never this cold. I was never this betrayed. He walked away, leaving her under the courthouse awning alone. That night, back at the Stratton home, Ella curled up next to Cole on the sofa while Bryce leaned on the doorframe. Did we do the right thing, Bryce asked, keeping her away. We did what was necessary, Cole said. There's a difference. She said you'd never forgive her, Ella whispered. I don't need to, Cole replied. Forgiveness is about healing. This is about safety. Bryce nodded slowly. You think she'll come back again? She'll try, Cole said, but next time I won't need a courtroom. In the study, Jackson Reed placed a new file on Cole's desk. What's this, Cole asked. A list of journalists and media execs Lauren's been quietly contacting. She's trying to rebuild her image through pity or politics. Cole didn't flinch. Let her try. I figured you'd say that. So I've begun seeding counter-narratives. Nothing inflammatory, just facts. Real ones. The truth will stick to her longer than any lie. Cole nodded. Good. Because the trial might be over, but the war isn't. That night, as thunder rolled through the Virginia sky, Cole looked out over his quiet yard. 2 children safe, 1 future reclaimed, and an entire battlefield scorched behind him. He hadn't set out for revenge, just resolution. But in the shadows of betrayal, they often looked the same. The wind howled through the Shenandoah Hills like a warning. Cole Stratton stood on the back deck of his house watching the tree lines shift in the stormlight. In the distance, Bryce and Ella played catch beneath a low-hanging canopy of oak, their voices faint but unburdened. For the first time in months, they sounded like kids again. Inside, Cole's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered without speaking. I need to see them, Lauren said. Cole exhaled through his nose. We have an agreement, I know. But I'm asking as their mother, not as your mistake. That's the first honest thing you've said in months. Her voice cracked. Marcus is gone. The PAC donors, the friends, the invitations, they all vanished. Even his wife's lawyers are coming after me. You tied yourself to a sinking ship, Cole said. You just didn't know how fast it was going down. I have nothing left. Cole paused. You had something once. You sold it. For influence, for power, for him. They were supposed to be with me, Cole. They were never yours to barter. She went silent. Then came the real question. Are you ever going to stop punishing me? Cole looked out at the children. Bryce had just overthrown Ella and was chasing the ball down a hill, laughing. This isn't punishment, Lauren, Cole said. It's protection. From you. He ended the call. The next morning, Cole sat across from Jackson Reed at a small cafe near the courthouse. She's petitioning again, Jackson said. Not custody, image rehab. She wants supervised visitation moved to a private residence, denied. Thought you'd say that, Jackson said. So I filed a preemptive injunction. She tries anything cute, she gets sanctioned. Cole nodded, but something in his jaw tightened. She's not finished. She's desperate now. Let her be. That kind of fire burns itself out. No, Cole said softly. Not if it finds oxygen. That evening, the fire came. Bryce had been in his room when the doorbell rang. Ella was brushing her hair. Cole was reviewing security reports in his study. When he opened the door, Lauren was on the porch, mascara smudged hair wild in the wind, a suitcase behind her. I just want to talk to them, she said, trembling. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. You're violating the agreement, Cole warned. I don't care, she hissed. You've taken everything from me. Do you even remember who I was before you turned me into your enemy? You did that yourself, Cole said coldly. All I did was survive your betrayal. They're my children. They're my mission, Cole snapped. That stopped her. The rage drained from her face. You're still at war, aren't you? Even now. With me. With yourself. Cole took one step forward. You came here without court clearance. You're on my property. You've trespassed, you've violated orders, and you've scared our kids. You can leave in the next 60 seconds. Or I call the sheriff. She stared at him like she didn't recognize him. Because maybe she didn't anymore. She left without another word. 10 minutes later, Ella came downstairs in tears. Was that Mom? Cole knelt. Yes. Why didn't you let her in? Because she didn't come for the right reasons. Ella wiped her face. I miss her. Even when I know she lied, I know, Cole said. Missing someone and trusting them are two different things. The next day, Marcus Bell arrived with a new file. Cole flipped through it carefully. Lauren had reached out to a tabloid editor in D.C. She was offering a memoir. Early chapters included phrases like military manipulation, post-traumatic neglect, and losing my family to uniform silence. She's going scorched earth, Bell said. Trying to turn the media on you. Cole looked up. Then we do what we always do. Fire back. No, Cole said. Take away her matches. That night, Cole posted a public statement on social media. It went viral within hours. The uniform didn't take my family. Ambition did. Infidelity did. Power games did. I didn't lose my marriage in combat. I lost it to someone who thought I was too distracted to notice her betrayal. I forgive what I can, but I will not allow deception to rewrite history. My kids will know the truth, and they'll decide what's worth remembering. The response was thunderous. Thousands of veterans, parents, and advocates shared it. News outlets reframed the narrative again. Lauren's upcoming tell-all was dead on arrival. She issued a retraction 24 hours later. That Sunday, Bryce walked out onto the porch with 2 mugs of coffee. One black, one with cream. You sleep? He asked. Cole took a mug. Some. Bryce sat beside him. Ella told me what Mom said when she visited. She said you'd never let us be normal again. Cole stared into the trees. She might be right. But you kept us safe, Bryce added. Cole turned. That's all I ever cared about. Bryce sipped his coffee. Then I guess we can live with not normal. 6 months later, peace came not in silence, but in small, deliberate rituals. Morning coffee before the sun crested over the trees. Walking Ella to the school bus while Bryce tied his cleats for practice. Regular Sunday dinners, no whispers, no threats, no more contingency plans on the wall. Cole Stratton had learned that winning the war didn't mean returning to what was lost. It meant securing what remained. That morning, he stood barefoot on his porch, mug in hand, the cool October air biting his skin. His phone buzzed against the railing. Message from an unknown number. You destroyed my life. This isn't over. No name, no reply. Just the past trying to crawl back through a door he'd long since locked. Cole deleted the message and moved on. Inside, Jackson Reed sat at the kitchen table with Marcus Bell, reviewing the final reports. Monroe was sentenced, Jackson said, tapping the front page of a sealed folder. 8 years. Could have been 12, but he flipped late. He won't last 8, Bell added. His wife divorced him, took what was left, and vanished. He's in protective custody now. No packs, no connections, just walls. Cole didn't gloat. He'd never fought for vengeance. Only clarity. Lauren, he asked, living in a rental in Roanoke. Bell said. Still doing interviews. Nobody's airing them. She tried to sell her story to the Times. They passed after the backlash from your statement. She'll fade, Jackson said. Eventually. She always wanted to be seen. Cole replied. Now she is for what she did. Later that afternoon, Cole drove to Pinnacle Academy, not as a father reclaiming ground, but as a man extending a quiet hand to the past. He met with Principal Gaines, who handed him the framed apology letter from the board. Cole accepted it without a word, placed it in the back seat, and never looked at it again. He wasn't here for trophies.
Chira.
That evening, as twilight settled over the hills, Cole grilled dinner while Ella set the table. Bryce tossed a football into the air, catching it with one hand as he watched his father. "You gonna keep the security cameras?" he asked. Cole glanced at him. "Why, just wondering if you think it's over." Cole paused, then nodded toward the woods. "Wars don't always end when the fighting stops. Sometimes they just go quiet." Bryce grinned. "That's a yes then." "Just until graduation," Cole said. "After that, I'll loosen the perimeter." By after dinner, the kids went upstairs. Cole sat alone in his study. The bookshelf beside him no longer held strategy manuals or case files. Just photos. His wedding photo was gone. In its place, a snapshot of Bryce and Ella building a treehouse. A blurred one of Cole covered in paint, holding a crooked hammer while Ella beamed. He stared at it for a long time. Then across the room, a red light blinked on his security panel. Motion detected south fence. Cole stood immediately. But then another alert popped up, system update complete. Perimeter clear. False ping. He sat back down, heart already calm again. He had trained himself to anticipate every breach. But tonight there was none. Bum. At 10:37 p.m., the house was silent. Bryce snored lightly. Ella whispered to herself in her sleep. Cole walked through the hallway, checking doors, verifying locks, not out of fear but instinct. As he reached the end of the hall, his phone buzzed one final time. Message from Bell's tip delivered. Cayman account traced. Mrs. Monroe gets everything. Lauren's offshore funds gone. Cole stared at the screen for a moment, then turned it off. John, to outside the wind rose again. The trees shifted like old ghosts, deciding whether or not to speak. Cole sipped the last of his coffee, then turned toward the house, whispering to no one. Some wars never end. You just negotiate better terms. He walked back inside, locked the door, and finally let himself rest.